Welcome to A Higher Future in Healthcare, a special series exploring a growing crisis in healthcare, hiring quality talent to deliver quality care. I'm Ubaldo Siminietti, your host, and I sit down with some of the industry's top voices in hiring and recruiting to dissect one of healthcare's biggest obstacles, in the hopes of learning from each other and sharing that information to help us improve how and who we hire so that we can take better care of the communities and the people we serve. I'm here with Kelli Cameron. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Absolutely, my privilege.
Talk to me a little bit about you, your background, your role, and the organization, and then we can dive into some kind of recruiting and hiring and healthcare questions.
Sure. Well, I'll start with my current role. I'm the Senior Director of Faculty and APP Recruitment for the Medical College of Wisconsin, which also includes all of the physicians who practice in the community with Froedtert Health and also Children's Wisconsin. So awesome. We are, very active in our recruitment. We try to do as much as possible in-house. So we have a team of 14. And nice. And we have the opportunity to work with, the best and brightest, not only the clinical professionals, but also researchers and the teachers of our future physicians. So
wonderful.
It's really exciting.
Where are you recruiting and sourcing from mainly? Is it Wisconsin or are you looking all over?
We look nationally.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who grow up in the Midwest who, want to get other experiences for their education and training, and maybe they want to, live and experience other states too. And then at some point, a lot of people, in the Midwest like to come back to the Midwest. And so we really recruit nationally, and we do have some international candidates as well for certain positions that are really unique.
Yeah.
So and we do, obviously all the normal job advertisements and things, but we do a lot of headhunting and just active outreach to potential candidates.
What are the obstacles you're facing right now? Given the last couple of years, I think just in general, right, hiring and recruiting have been struck with many blows, many obstacles. What are you all facing right now?
I'd say some of the bigger challenges. Obviously everyone's challenged with certain specialties. There's never enough psychiatrists, for example, and there's a growing need, obviously, with the opportunities with mental health, and so there's a bigger demand, and there's a shortage of those physicians already. So that continues to be a challenge. But we really have stretched ourselves to say, how do we recruit differently, in the sense that it's not necessarily the first person we want to hire. We want to hire the best, and so not necessarily just hiring the person but doing that active recruitment. And by doing that, we've put together some very intentional diversity recruitment plans to say, how are we going to reach different audiences that may not even know about us? Maybe they've never been to Wisconsin or heard about Milwaukee and experienced what it's like to be in the Midwest. And so really trying to engage people who may not be familiar with us to learn more.
How are you all defining diversity and inclusion and all that thing, that strategy? How are you defining that specifically?
We have a lot of different definitions depending on what audience, what specialty, what we're looking for. We have in particular veterans, for example. A lot of the physicians who work at the Veterans Hospital in Milwaukee are actually employed by us, and so we're always looking for veterans. Gender diversity is extremely important to us. It's interesting by specialty. There are some specialties where females are the predominant gender, and so we look at it by specialty there. We're also obviously looking at race and ethnicity. We know that if we can recruit more diverse physicians who look like our patients are more likely to get the health care they need.
Yes.
That they can have that trusted relationship. And so we really look at it. It depends, is I guess the long answer and the short answer.
Yeah, for sure.
And just making sure that our physician population looks like our community, because we know we can better advance healthcare in the Wisconsin, area with more diverse physicians. So
did that change because of COVID for you all, or was that always something? Because you don't hear that a lot, but I think it's such a powerful statement and a powerful criteria because you're right, like people don't necessarily want to go seek care from somebody who they don't think will understand them as a person culturally. Right. So did that become more powerful of a thing for you all after COVID?
We have a whole office that really looks at the inclusion challenges, I think, in healthcare and some of the disparities that exist, and a lot of it's historical.
Right.
And so COVID, it really exposed some of those things. It brought a more, I'd say, a greater awareness to some of the historical challenges and issues that, certain populations face with vaccines, for example.
Sure.
And so I think it became a stronger awareness to that, but I don't necessarily think it changed it. It's always been a need.
Yeah.
And it's something that we're very committed to in the Milwaukee market and beyond. We really stretch now from Racine and Kenosha in southern Wisconsin all the way up to Green Bay and over to western Wisconsin. So, it's a major commitment to our state.
Is the community really vocal about that? Like, do you hear from them often on the things that that they want to see more people like them reflected throughout the system?
Yeah, I think we've been partners for a long time. And so it's really not about us and them. It's really about, how do we continue to strengthen that partnership? And so many, especially in recruitment, let's say, like people expect you need to have these hiring goals or you need to do this thing, but they don't change their behaviors, right? And they don't build the relationships. They don't build the trust. And this is not a transaction, right? This is a long-term effort. And so that's how we've really approached not only our recruiting, but also how we have our partnerships in the community, is that it's not about us doing one thing, you doing another, and informing each other. It's really about working collaboratively together to advance, each of the goals.
I love that because, and I've heard that a lot, that recruiting, it isn't transactional, and that there is a power within healthcare recruiting that goes beyond just finding a new physician. How do you all talk about that a lot as a team? Like, how do you ensure that everybody on the team is, on the same page about, look, this is, we're hiring people to change their lives, to change the lives of our community, to change our lives. How do you make sure that mission is always kind of at the forefront of what you're doing as a team?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. We have an amazing team. I have 20 years of experience, but everyone else on the team brings, 5 to 30 years of experience. And I think we really focus our conversations and our recruiter connection meetings about, what we're hearing. What are we hearing from candidates? What are we hearing from the teams that we're partnering with? And trying to identify what are those most themes, and how does it change what we do? So how do we make our interview process more inclusive? And even some of the things that we can't necessarily control, we know it's not just about a job. It's about, do people feel at home in the community that they're exploring that job?
Right.
So what does the entire process look like to say, do I feel comfortable going to for a walk? Do I know where I can pray? Do I know where I can get my hair done? Where can I bank at? The education system. Will my family be accepted here? And so we really have expanded our recruitment process to say, we're recruiting the entire individual, not just their clinical expertise.
Sure.
And then sometimes it's their entire family that we're recruiting. And so we've tried to share some of our best practices within our team, because there's so much work to be done in that area too.
Yeah. Do you have any good kind of just tips or tricks for the interview process specifically? You mentioned that. Like, how do you create a more inclusive interview process?
So there's a number of different things that we've been doing. Obviously, just some training of the people who are involved in the interviews. So the clinicians, the leaders, about things like unconscious bias. But we've also expanded, like, how do we review CVs and looking at what types of experience or education they have, and challenging the hiring teams to say, what are the most critical things we need for this position? Sometimes you start a search and people think, and the team says, we need somebody with 10 years of experience and this and that. And by showing them a diverse pool of candidates, they actually realize that their first thought of what was ideal is different after they've had a chance to, explore a pool of candidates that really shows them different experiences and backgrounds.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we do a lot of things with the candidates to engage them early on in the process to find out, more about them personally, and giving them an opportunity to share without also respecting their privacy. Giving them an opportunity to tell us what they want, and giving them that experience to share, but also not making them feel like they have to share either.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's interesting. Well, what are some kind of maybe your final thoughts? Like if your words of wisdom, if you will, for the industry, because I think everybody here at this conference, AAPPR, are really trying to figure out like how do we avoid a potential, problem in the future where we never fix this talent problem, right? Like we don't have enough people, and so how do we do that? Like, what are your thoughts on this community, and how do recruiters kind of empower themselves to really be a part of the solution?
I think, continued learning is just key. This is a really challenging field. I'm finishing my PhD right now.
Oh, wow.
I'm focused on
Nice.
physician recruitment and looking at like the career choices that residents and fellows make after completing their training. But like those learnings that I'm having now have just opened my mind to so many other things. And I think it's really, my piece of advice probably be to always be curious, and to take the time to, I think we're in such a demanding, very busy field, but just take the time to build that relationship with each candidate, because it will save you time in the long run, ultimately, when you have a successful recruitment, successful hire. So, don't get too caught up in the busy stuff, to realize the most important things are the relationships.
Perfect way to end it. Thank you so much, Kelli. It was a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
A Higher Future in Healthcare is a production of IIA Healthcare, a technology organization powered by the Interview IA interview platform, designed to help healthcare organizations hire better. Learn more at www.iahealthcare.com. and in collaboration with AAPPR, the Association for Advancing Physician and Provider Recruitment, the leading authority on physician and provider recruitment and retention. Learn more at www.aappr.org.